Welcome to the Creative Marketing Show. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the Creative Marketing Show. My name is Rosh Sillers, and we're talking about your marketing in this show, your marketing and artificial intelligence, AI. How will this affect your marketing as an independent business owner, an online professional, a marketer? There are a lot of questions here to be asked and answered. And what I'm doing for today's show is I'm going to kind of look at where we are now to the best of my knowledge, and then where we might be a year and then a few years from now, and how we can approach this, because this is important. This isn't just, oh, it's overblown. It's not. No, it's here. It's here. It's if you use AdWords right now, there is some AI involved and some things you can take advantage of now. And we'll talk about that. There are a lot of different things that we can do moving forward to get involved, to stay on the cutting edge with and not get lost in all this. The bottom line is, the theory is it's going to make it a lot easier for us as business owners, as marketers, and it'll allow us to do more of the things that we are really good at. Because quite honestly, there's a lot of marketing right now that is just pushing buttons and guessing and hoping, and yes, doing A/B testing and figuring out what's better. But these machines can do it a lot faster and are doing it a lot faster. So I want to get into that with a few ideas that I'm sharing with you today. But before that, I want to remind you that you can catch me every Monday noon Eastern Standard Time. You can ask questions in the chat. If you are live, of course, you can do so in the during the replay in the comments. I always encourage you. And questions can be asked at Twitter. I'm at Rosh Sillers on Twitter. That's a great way to connect with me. But wherever you find this podcast or live show, wherever you find it, please just connect with me there. That's always the best place. It's not always a good idea to drive everybody to different places. I always hate it when I follow somebody I just unfollowed somebody today, actually, on Twitter, who keeps sending me stuff about helping me with my social media. And okay, their DMs. That was the first thing. I mean, immediately I follow them and they send me a DM. Hey, can we help you with your social media? Do you need help with that? It's like, no, I'm doing okay. Thanks. I mean, that was the first thing, was a sales call, or even staying on the same track that got me on this was the fact that people say, okay, hey, great. You followed me on Twitter. Now follow me on Facebook, because that's where I am. No, I followed you on Twitter. I wanted to connect with you on Twitter, not on Facebook. And the same thing here on YouTube, on the podcast. If you're listening on SoundCloud or iTunes, wherever you may be listening, that's where wherever you may be connecting with me, that's where you want to connect. So don't ever think I'm saying you have to connect with me elsewhere. That's a pet peeve of mine. I'm just giving you options. Okay, so today, talking about artificial intelligence and where we are now. The fact is, costs are going up. The days of finding a click for 5, 10, 25 cents. It's just, some of the newer platforms, maybe you can get there. But for the most part, the cost of acquisition is going up. And that is the really important metric that we need to make note of. How much does it cost? So what if you can get a click for 50 cents if it still costs you $300? Well, for some people, $300 is just fine because their product is $2,000. But if your product is $50, $300 is too much. I actually had to just have a good conversation with a great client. They're great people. But the fact is, the cost of acquisition using the system they hired me to use was way too high. It just, the cost in terms of their keywords, where they were in the industry, where they were in their profit margins, I could scale the thing all day long. Technically, the click-through rate was awesome. The conversion rate was awesome. And we could have just scaled that right up and put them out of business, because that is not working. But there are new technologies that are coming along really quickly. I was just listening to actually a few podcasts with some people who are really high into, say, the AdWords world at a level that is beyond me, for sure, in terms of where they are in the books they've written and their connections with Google specifically. And they're just talking about how a lot of us over the last number of years have saw Google roll out features to help us out, in our marketing. And we test them and we're like, yeah, no, we can still do it better. We're still better than Google. Usually it just benefits Google. But the thing is, over the last year, it's getting better and better. And every 6 months, when you start to see these new, uh, just different tools rolling out, whether it's Facebook or if it's, Instagram and Facebook are under the same platform, or Google AdWords. As you see these things roll out and they say, hey, we'll figure it out for you, it's worth testing more now, because the artificial intelligence level is starting to beat us as AdWords professionals. In other words, the AI is getting so good because it's not just a few calculations that we're thinking about. They're using millions of calculations to find the right person. Before you see an ad, there are millions of calculations that the AI is going through to figure out if you're the right person for that ad, if this is the right message, something you'll respond to. And this is getting better and better. And I would dare say, based on what I've seen, because I've been testing some of this stuff, what I've been reading from the people who have even greater knowledge and have been experimenting, I say within, probably a year from now, a lot of these AIs are going to be better than us doing it manually. Just the bottom line, which is good for many people. They'll say, oh, well, then we don't need marketing people and so forth. We'll just do it all ourselves. In some cases, that may be the case, just like anything. If you want to dive into the technicals of setting up that dashboard, but it's not just that. There's some things you need to be thinking about. What questions are you asking that AI? See, moving forward, say in a few years, thank you for the thumbs up. I really appreciate it. In a few years, you'll be able to just put in some headlines. You'll be able to put in the landing page and maybe a video, photos, and the AI will mix it all up and find the right combination for the right people. Maybe even serve up different combinations based on what it is that you're offering. But here's the thing, and this is what we need to be careful of. The questions we're asking of the AI. It's still a computer. And sometimes when we're offering information and data, we have a bias. For example, we think we know who our ultimate customer is. And so we put a framework towards that AI based on some basic life experiences. And we tell the AI, okay, go find more of these people, do this, do that. And you tell the AI, and it comes back and it's not that good, because ultimately you gave it poor information or poor direction. So that's where marketing people still come into play. Understanding your angle, understanding what good questions to ask, what tools to use within the AI. There are a lot of different tools and combinations of things that you can do to improve this. I mean, ultimately, you want the cost of acquisition to come down, and AI can help us do that. But it might be the wrong acquisition that we're getting, and that can be the case. So there are a lot of ways to approach this. And honestly, I think that a marketer is going to have the opportunity to spend more time being creative, more time being strategic, rather than setting up the guts, rather than setting up all this stuff, which is things I'm doing on a regular basis. I am coding. I have to code. I have to make things talk to each other. I have to make sure that I'm pushing the right buttons and that everything is set up correctly. And so that takes away from the creativity time, the strategy time. Now, there's another element to this, of course, moving forward, is that, now the AIs are in full swing. Let's say 5 years from now, the AIs, artificial intelligence, full swing of our marketing. We could just push a button and say, hey, taking a step back, in the next year even, thinking about this, thinking about voice and how voice is going to change everything. We are talking to our speakers now that are in our room. We're talking to our phones. And we're going to be able to advertise to people related to those things, but this has to be done in a natural way. One of the things related to AI or even computing that I've often just waved a big red flag about is that when you go mass marketing, when you're just out to get everything, I mean, AI will do well, and it's going to do well because it can customize on the fly. Because we're all going to want more customized everything. Your customer will want a customized experience. And that takes a lot of work. And to capture the attention of a lot of people today, we're really dependent on average. We need to connect with as many people as we possibly can. And if we're too much on the fringe this way or too much on the fringe that way, in terms related to our industry, we're afraid that we're going to upset people. We're not going to really connect with them, rather than now having something that can now say, okay, this person prefers this type of engagement. This person prefers this type of engagement. This person prefers reading an ad that is text, and they tend to convert more. This person prefers video, and this person likes a good, funny photo. And to be able to give the AI those opportunities to figure it all out and present the right thing, it's still our job to understand our message, who we are, and again, that creativity. So as we start talking again to our phones and listening to our phone, listening to our speakers, we have some new opportunities coming at us, which are really, really exciting. You're going to need to, again, be careful of what you're feeding it. You have to remember the right questions are what's necessary. The wrong questions will send these AIs in a very poor direction. We have to understand moving forward that we need to understand our story. We've talked about story, but we need to understand our stories and the stories related to us that help people connect with us. I have a video from maybe a year ago. And I talked about how moving forward as a creative person, we should probably have this little H with a circle around it, meaning made by humans, because in the future, AIs are going to be able to create at some level. And I think that we're still going to crave human interaction, despite the fact that everything is customized so well to us. We're going to still crave some level of human interaction. And so we'll have to think about that as we continue to grow and market our businesses. The thing is, there's always going to be something next. And as I was saying, if the AIs are in full swing and they're moving along, and you can just put some data in, and you know where to do that, you know the portal, you know how to set the basics up, I guess, and it should be getting easier and easier. And you're asking the right questions. But at the same time, there's something beyond that. There's always going to be something new. There's never a point in which we've arrived. You know, the AI doing our advertising for us is going to be a standard, but there's still going to be something new. So it'll be the job of the business owner or your marketing person or a marketer to understand what is next. What is that next development? What is that next thing we need to do to connect with that customer and find new opportunities for our businesses? That will never end. It will never end. And I can see 100 years from now how creative the computers will be. So what will be next? I have a feeling we don't know yet. We don't know our place yet. Will there be a place where humans are not important? I don't know. I'm hoping not, but I have a feeling that we're always going to have our part in our own way, because once we're freed, we've always found through history, once we're freed from certain tasks, we find something else to do and something else to create in another direction we need to go. So it might allow us to really develop or just outright ask even better questions and get even more creative with the help of these AIs and robots helping us out. So there's a lot to it. And it keeps getting deeper and deeper. And I will continue to share what I'm learning as I continue to start using it. This stuff is in Facebook. This stuff is in right now. If you go to Google Analytics, there'll be a little thing on the right side that'll ask you questions about your analytics. What do you want to know? That's an AI serving up that information. And the same thing in AdWords. There are certain automatic bidding systems that are AI driven that very well is, like I mentioned before, is starting to beat out the humans and will 6 months, a year from now do exactly that. Okay. So some news that I wanted to share, some interesting things. I think this is really interesting, is that Instagram is rolling out, at least making an announcement on the 20th about video. And they're going to have a new place for video. It's almost going to it sounds like it's going to be YouTube like. And you can upload. They're looking for more polished, but not horizontal, vertical video. In other words, they want nice light. They want it well produced, but not super high end. They want it like a good YouTuber level. And it's going to be vertical. And you'll have up to 60 minutes to share your information, share your story, entertain, whatever it is you do as you're trying to either build a community or sell product or inform people, become an industry leader, become, a thought leader in your field, or an entertainer. Maybe you just want to entertain people. You want to create a group of people who are interested. You're a musician, or you are a comedian, or whatever it may be, or you're an educator like myself. That's why I use these different platforms to educate. So I have to think about, how am I going to now educate on Instagram? How am I going to use this part, or am I? Do I just continue to use YouTube? I'm not using Facebook. I just the video. I mean, Facebook for me is just not working. Although it's working great for many others. You have to test and find out where your audience is. My audience for me does not seem to be on Facebook, or at least I personally have done a horrible job at it. Very possible. Something to consider. So to continue this process of what video means to us in our marketing, I think this is the big clue to continue to think about video and how you're going to use video in marketing. I think that's just truly an important part of the growth of everyone's business. And also, we're talking AI is going to be able to better put our videos in front of the right people. There's that human element. This human element of video is going to last for quite a while. Yes, there are computer voices. We can do things are getting better in that. I mean, you can copy my voice. You can take this, and there are programs. You could take a number of my clips and create a whole show, a whole podcast, whatever you want it to be, using my voice or your voice. And eventually, I'm sure they could do the same thing with video in terms of who we are and what we look like. That's where that little H with the circle comes in. I guess that's where I'm thinking. But that's, we have some time ahead of us related to that, but we have to look deep into the future and what could happen and be prepared for it. Don't be afraid of it. Just be prepared and understand that if you are riding the wave in that top 20% of understanding of what's going on, your business is less of a threat than other people who are just ignoring it and deciding, you know what, I'm still working with the Yellow Pages. I think it's a great book. I mean, there are people who are still there. And hey, it may be working at some level for them, but they're missing out on more opportunities because they've made the decision. They've made that decision. All right, questions that you guys have. I have a few. If there are more questions, feel free to put them in the chat or in the comments below for later. I will be more than happy to answer your questions. So Facebook, the question related to Facebook that I've been receiving a lot is, should I just give up on Facebook? And I kind of was talking about that with the video and where I am. And the answer is no. There's still some great ways which you can use Facebook. And actually, with our new podcast that we're working on, really the Channel Builders podcast, we're going to create a group. We're going to create a Facebook group. Facebook groups are really turning out to be a good way to create community around your around a topic, but also the ability to create a great community which you can drive traffic from and they're not offended by, especially if it's very related. So if we had, sake of argument, a channel builders community, and there are a lot of people who are really, they were, passionate about building their own channel, then being a part of that group would be important. And if there's some good information that was shared in that group, by multiple people, not just ourselves, but other people who have channel building ideas, well, then yes, the channel building group can be really good. I'm just so down. I mean, you need a Facebook page because that's what you need to advertise. And same thing with Instagram too. If you want to advertise on Instagram, you're going to need that Facebook connection that with the page. But the page today, and I know we've mentioned this a number of times, truly is, hey, open for business. That's what we are. We are open for business. Here we are. I know you'll never see this page again. You wanted to see that I had a Facebook page and that there are some updates there and we're open for business. So there you go. And that's kind of the way it is. And they'll never come back unless you start advertising. Facebook, in terms of advertising, for me, direct sales, no, although you can do some good e-commerce work in Facebook. But for the most part, if you're trying to collect emails, get people to your webinar and so forth, then you have some good opportunities. And you know what? Something we don't talk a lot about, and that is your personal profile page. And that the fact is, these are the people that your closest 5,000 friends, from high school to, past work colleagues to people you met at a networking group. These people do know you in most cases, if you do it right, and you're building a community there, people who actually you really do know. And these are the people who more likely refer you. Not that you're continuously selling to these people, but once in a while, a little anecdote related to your business and what's going on. That can be interesting, especially if you're a creative, if you're a photographer. Sharing an interesting photograph on Facebook can get a lot of traction. And so if you have a very interesting career like that, then the Facebook in your personal account can be really powerful to get things shared. Okay, getting to another question, and that has to do with YouTube. We've been getting a lot of YouTube questions, and the question is related to some of the things that I've been talking about lately quite a bit, and just how do you grow your YouTube channel? And I think that's a pretty broad question, but I'd like to share a few thoughts, in terms of what I know is working. And what I do know is that, one, you got to treat your channel like one big playlist. I believe that's the case. In other words, make it easy. Keep uploading videos that are related to each other. Oh, great. Professor Kitchen has a thought. And I'm going to get right back to that in a moment. The playlist, a shorter playlist, a small place usually has, maybe 4 to 8 videos all related together. But if you look at your overall YouTube channel, and one video leads to another very easily. In other words, somebody watches one video, they're going to watch another one of your videos because it's a similar type of a video. And that's why when videos go all over the place, it's tough for people to follow your channel. When it comes to truly understanding the value of thumbnails, the new metrics are awesome. Make sure you're taking a look and testing and trying to improve to see what your audience responds to. My audience, despite what I've been doing for the last year and a half, and as I see from some of my fellow business marketing related YouTube creators, that dark backgrounds are working really, really well. Look at Evan Carmichael is a great example. And so the fact is, I'm starting to play with those dark backgrounds, and I'm seeing really interesting results in terms of the click-through rates, something I would not have expected, something I would not have thought was the right answer. And so for the person who's asking about the YouTube, start here. Just start with the basic idea. Make interesting content that leads from one person, from one video to another. And the more they watch your content, the more YouTube will promote you and the more success you'll have. And you can dig into those analytics even more, but ultimately create the good stuff. Hey, Cliche, how you doing? Yes, getting close to that 1,000. I should be there in probably about 6 weeks as we continue to grow. Thank you for being here. And hey, we're going to have a YouTube meetup here in Detroit soon. I want to see you there. Okay, Professor Kitchen. I had a business a while back that had a Facebook page. I posted related stuff on it all the time and advertised sales there. I never got a single sale from it. Seems like a massive waste of time. Well, I would not say Facebook advertising is a massive waste of time necessarily, but I absolutely know where you're coming from. I mean, just like anything, there are people who could do a really good job. I mean, it just depends on how you're advertising, what you're doing. people who are trained in that regularly can do some good stuff for your business. But then you have to decide, do you want to hire somebody to do that? And is it worth it? But yeah, your Facebook page, you may have 1,000 people who've liked it. But the fact is, if you post something, probably not more than 20 people will see it. And that does you no good. And so that's why I say it's kind of like a website and so forth, an open for business page. If you're going to get into the advertising, you really do need to get into it and do it strategically. A lot of times people will say, hey, let me try $50 and see if I get anything out of it. And the reality is you have to start doing the math. How many clicks are you going to get for that $50? And if you're going to get a 1% conversion rate overall, and in other words, meaning a sale, well, maybe to get that 1% conversion rate, you actually needed to spend 500. That could be the case. So you need to do that math. Just because 20 people came to your page because you advertised, it may not be 20 people ready to buy. You might need more people coming to the page to play the numbers. And that's what I see a lot. And I have no idea how you approached it. I'm totally with you and I understand what you're saying. But there are a lot of ways to approach it. And so I don't always, it all depends. If I was trying to do a webinar or I had a free download somewhere and I was trying to collect emails, I would definitely go to Facebook for that. So those are some things that I certainly would consider. Okay, good comment. Thank you so much. All right. Any last minute questions before we head off? Those of you who are most interested in connecting with me at Rosh Sillers is a great place to do so on Twitter. And if you have ideas, if you have marketing strategy ideas and thoughts, or even channel building ideas, as you know, I'm diving a lot into the whole channel building concept with my friends over at outcome.digital. And that will certainly be supported here as well as on LinkedIn. I'm really starting to play with video on LinkedIn. And darn it, I think I'm going to be starting to play with some video, as we discussed just a few moments ago, over on Instagram. But I think I'm going to stock photo. I haven't done that for a while. I've been playing with that concept of what I'm best doing on Instagram. And I just feel like I feel dirty when I start talking business on Instagram. And maybe that's the right thing. I just don't feel good about it. So maybe that should just be my photography stuff. I haven't taught photography for years. I've really focused on the marketing stuff. I used to teach photography at the universities, and I haven't had an outlet. I haven't had an outlet, nor have I had the desire, but I kind of do over on Instagram. So there you go. You got to find the right platform for the right topics, for the right people. It's a game. It's a game, and you just have to decide what can you do a best job. You don't have to be on all platforms, especially as an independent person. You find your best and just do a great job on the ones in which you find audience and that you're comfortable with. Okay, it's been a good show. I've enjoyed having you guys here. Thank you for everyone who checked in. We'll talk to you next Monday, Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much.